Ladies and gentlemen, our program will begin momentarily. Please take your seats. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our program will begin momentarily. Please take your seats. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please find your seats. We will begin our program momentarily. Good afternoon. Welcome to Maple Counseling's 50th anniversary celebration, also known as Tea and Tequila. He is the recipient of multiple Emmy, Golden Mike, Associated Press, and Murrow Awards, and is seen on the NBC4 weekday evening newscasts at 5, 6, and 11 p.m. Please give a warm welcome to Robert Kovacic.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful crowd, beautiful day. I feel I should begin, dearly beloved. Somebody want to get married? It is such a, bride walking down the aisle. That would be a great way to start. But you know why we're here today. And with that said, let us put our hands together and give a round of applause to Maple Counseling, celebrating their 50th anniversary. We also want to thank the Mayborn Hotel, and we do want to thank the heavens above for no rain today, because that was a little nerve-wracking last night. So, while it's my job during the day and during the night to work in the news, and I have passions outside of the newsroom, like all of you here, and that is why we're here, because we're giving back to causes that are important to all of us. And in today's challenging times, mental health is indeed at the forefront of those causes. For a long time, mental health was not a topic people wanted to discuss. But all of you are changing that with your advocacy to bring mental health into the spotlight, and that comes with your generous support of Maple Counseling. This evening, you're celebrating a milestone. 50 years, everybody. Another round of applause for you, for Maple Counseling, and for everybody that is working so hard. Half a century of Maple Counseling being there to listen, to give a voice to those who are in need of help. And now Maple Counseling is beginning the first of their next 50 years and doing it in a new location where Maple Counseling will reach an even greater community. COVID, Black Lives Matter movement, a rise in hate crimes, school shootings. I mean, they affect us all every single day. And Maple Counseling, in its new home, with its new expanded services, will reach an even bigger community whose voices need to be heard, and a community that needs to know that it is okay to not be okay. Quite simply, Maple Counseling is there to help. Maple Counseling's impact speaks for itself, doesn't it? If you reflect on the past 5 decades, Maple Counseling has been there providing quality and affordable mental health services since its inception in 1972. And get this, they have supported over 300,000 people, all ages, all backgrounds. And what do? They provide a safe place and a space and a caring environment, expert counseling, compassionate therapy, and most of all, a promise of hope. And now the vital need for local mental health services has grown exponentially. Consider these numbers. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness every single year. What does that mean? The other 4 in 5 are touched by it. None of us are exempt from the toll mental illness exacts, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it's in the workplace. A world that is crazy enough in its senseless onslaught of mishaps, illnesses, tragedies, just doesn't relent. It mangles our state of mind. It also dampens our spirit. It can cheat us of our smiles and often the wherewithal to get out of bed in the morning or to sleep at night. Many of you, hopefully a lot of you, watch NBC in Los Angeles. I see some faces out there, people I have interviewed, some willingly. But whatever channel you watch, when you watch the news, you've heard me relate the impact that this has here in Southern California, across the nation, across the world. It impacts all of us. So I go to work and I do that because that's my job as an anchor. But I look out and I see all of you, and you all are anchors, providing a safe harbor, steadying the mental health of a community so that the lives of our loved ones do not run aground. Now, in the next half hour or so, you're going to hear testimony from several people, and these people represent the strong trunk and the branches of our maple tree. And they also represent the network of roots that guarantee the strength to serve our community. So right now, we want to hear their voices, and let's take a closer look at Maple Counseling.
every single person has something to talk about. For years, my mom actually tried to get me into counseling. I would always push back. I would always say, no, like therapy's for people with problems. I don't have any problems. Why would I need therapy? After one session, I was like, okay, I understand now. I hated to admit it, but my mom was right.
Going to the Maple Center it really helped get those feelings out in a safe, healthy way.
The Maple Center really helped me out when I was in a very dark place. They made it possible for me to be able to afford therapy, uh, at low costs, and I didn't know how much I needed it until I started taking it on a regular basis. And I just want to say thank you so much for helping me when no one else did.
People of all ages and stages can find help that they need at Maple. At Maple, we're going to take our time to get to know you and to find out what it is that you are hoping for from your therapy experience.
Maple Counseling serves two purposes. We provide quality, affordable mental health care, while at the same time, we're training the next generation of mental health practitioners.
The cost of therapy is very expensive, and so they'll work with you to be able to afford the care that you need.
Mental health has become okay to talk about out loud, and it's okay to admit that your family has mental health issues and that you need help.
It takes about 10 years of suffering before an individual even thinks about starting therapy. There's answers, there's solutions, and it just breaks my heart to see that people have to suffer for that long before they can feel a sense of relief.
One of the important words that we use at Maple Center is compassion.
We don't have a limit on how many sessions we can have.
When you don't know where to turn to Maple Counseling.
When you don't know where to turn, we're here for you.
We will take your hand and we will guide you through this journey.
Wow, 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 wow. Coming onto the stage right now, this lovely lady just happens to be the chairman of the board of the directors of Maple Counseling Center, Myra Lurie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for that introduction. On behalf of the board, our executive director, Verena Blyle, and the entire team at Maple Counseling, we want to thank you so much for being here, and so happy as we're celebrating 50 years, a half a century, of providing affordable, comprehensive, quality mental health care for people everywhere, for everybody in need. And at the same time, today we are recognizing 4 amazing individuals whose passion and vision and talent and creativity and just plain old hard work have brought us to this very, very joyful moment of gratitude. And I want to thank you all so much for being here. And I'm going to try not to have a Marilyn Monroe moment here as we're having like all this wind. But I also want to, first of all, congratulate everybody for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. And a special welcome to 3 members of our City Council, Beverly Hills. We have council members Lester Friedman, Julian Gold, and Sharona Nazarian. Please join me in welcoming them and thanking them for the enormous partnership that we enjoy so much with the City of Beverly Hills. I also want to hang on one moment as I'm looking at my speech here. We want to also tell you, we hope you're going to have a great time. So tea and tequila, we have sandwiches and tea, and we're going to have churros and hot chocolate and all this great stuff. So please have a great time, enjoy yourself, and at the same time understand that your presence right here, right now, is what allows us, what enables us to save and change lives. Not only through our services, but through our mission to train the next generation of mental health care professionals who go forth, and will be changing and saving lives. So you are doing such an important thing for all of us. And I wanted to also tell you that it's my deep pleasure to introduce 2 of our first honorees. These are honorees for the Humanitarian Philanthropic Leadership Award. And I have had the great pleasure and the honor of knowing both of these guys. Kristen Jameson and I have served as co-presidents of Temple Emmanuel. She has been the president of the Friends of the Beverly Hills Public Library. And I can just tell you, Kristen is absolutely the real deal. She's looking like kind of, not wanting to hear these nice words about her because she does everything so selflessly, without any ego, with so much talent and so collaboratively. And if you can lead the temple and get consensus and make everybody still love you after all those years, you know she's the real deal. Likewise, it's been my extreme pleasure and my honor and so much fun to serve with John Jameson on the board of Maple. John is a powerhouse leader who is undisputedly the heart and the soul of Maple Counseling. You can ask anyone. His previous philanthropic gigs included being chair of Legal Services Division for the UJF and the president of Hillcrest Country Club. So if you can thrive and survive in those positions, you can basically do anything. And he has been a wonderful, wonderful board member. As chair, of course, leading us, but always being our guiding light and our support for everything. And he's very hands-on because not only is he viewing the strategic planning and the vision for the future of this organization, but he's also there picking out the flooring in the elevator cab of our new building. So we know that he is also an excellent multitasker. Many of you will know that he is a charming and an engaging lunch companion, and at the very same time, a very able fundraiser. So watch your checkbooks when you're around this guy. But both John and Kristen do it all so well, and they do it all for the right reasons. And so it is my great pleasure to bring them up to the stage right now to receive their most well-deserved Philanthropic Leadership Award. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Kristen and John.
Where's the camera? I'm blind. Blind up there. In there. Myra, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Our experience working with you has been and will continue to be a true pleasure and a model of teamwork. As Maple relocates to our new headquarters in La Cienega and begins its next 50-year journey. What a privilege it is for Kristen and me to be honored along with Judy Briskin and Rex Wilder. Judy is a paragon of generosity and philanthropy. Rex is a visionary. Together, they are enabling Maple to reach new heights and to help more people while training new therapists. Judy, Rex, we congratulate both of you. Thank you for your amazing support. Kristen and I want to thank our family and friends, Myra and the entire board, Verena and the entire Maple staff who worked so hard to put this event together. We want to thank the Mayborn Hotel and Casa Amigos, and of course the City of Beverly Hills and Cedars-Sinai for their ongoing crucial support. And we thank every one of you who is here today honoring us by supporting Maple Counseling. As Myra said, my wife Kristen's incredibly involved in our community. She's worked hand in hand with me behind the scenes supporting Maple every step of the way. In addition, her lifelong love of reading led to her work as president of the Friends of the Beverly Hills Library. Then she transitioned from the library to being a co-president of Temple Emmanuel, working tirelessly with Myra to help the temple through the pandemic. I am so proud of her and everything that she does and has done. I was a student at Beverly High in the early 70s when Maple was founded by a group of parents to help deal with the issues students were facing at the time. Little did I expect that we would now be playing critical roles, helping Maple extend its boundaries to help cure the epidemic of mental health illnesses and disorders. In 2011, a friend and I went to visit our friend and classmate, Mason Summers, who's here tonight. Mason, where are you? There you are, Mason. Mason was in the hospital at UCLA, hooked up to a huge machine, waiting to get his heart replaced. We wanted to support Mason and asked what we could do to help him. What did Mason say? To my great surprise, he said, get involved on the board at Maple Counseling. Mason was the chair of Maple Counseling and a clinical psychologist. Here he was, waiting for a new heart, telling us to get involved at Maple. Well, Mason's message resonated. I had seen serious mental illness up close and personal through family and friends, and I knew how devastating it can be. So I joined the board in 2012. Since then, I've had many roles at Maple, including board chair for 3 years. Most of you know that, since you've been getting my Maple email solicitations and have been supporting Maple those years. Mental health treatment no longer needs to hide in the shadows. It is finally hitting the mainstream, and the stigma attached to it is slowly starting to fade. We still have a long road ahead of us, but Maple Counseling will help us get there, providing treatment to those who can't afford it, providing training to more greatly needed therapists, and helping anyone who doesn't know where to turn through our new and revolutionary Briskin Wilder Welcome Center.
The next 50 years starts now. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Kristen and John, please. And for Myra. Beautiful. Thank you, Myra. Congratulations again, Kristen and John. Now we're going to present Maple Counseling's Humanitarian Award. To do that is an attending physician in the Division of Digestive Diseases at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and an assistant clinical professor of medicine at the Geffen UCLA School of Medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we bring up to the stage Dr. Edward Scher. Hi, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm a gastroenterologist practicing here in Los Angeles for the last 43 years. And if you don't know what a gastroenterologist is, you're probably overdue for a colonoscopy. But I'm not here today to give any medical advice. I'm honored to have been asked to introduce Maple Counseling Humanitarian Award recipients. But before I do, I want to mention how glad I am that Judy Briskin personally reached out to me to invite me here. I have to admit, when I first got an email from her assistant, Susie, saying that Judy would like to talk to me about a cause that was near and dear to her heart, I remember thinking, uh-oh. But when I received a personal letter from Judy telling me about the incredible Welcome Center, well, who can say no to Judy Briskin? And while we know who the recipients of the Humanitarian Award are, I think it's important to know how they came to this honor, which is why I'd like to share a story with you. The story is about a patient of mine who I saw a few years ago, brought in by his very worried mother. He had quite a few symptoms and had been seen by a number of physicians, but they were unable to discover the root of his ailment. The cause of his symptoms remained elusive. Ultimately, he was referred to me for a gastrointestinal evaluation. I took a history, then asked him to come into my exam room where I could ask him some more personal questions. And it became clear to me that the symptoms were not caused by any problem, any medical problem that we'd refer to as organic disease. I believed his issue was psychosomatic. That is, these symptoms were caused or aggravated by a mental factor such as stress, depression, anxiety, or some significant internal conflict. And as has been stated, as a society, we have no trouble talking about diabetes, arthritis, replacing hips and knees, who should I go to? But mental illness is seen as a sign of weakness. It's the elephant in the room that we try to ignore or keep to ourselves. This illness, has been stated, needs to come out into the light, be recognized as a disease, be diagnosed and treated. So my recommendation to this man was to see my psychiatry colleague, and on a rather urgent basis. 7 days later, I received an email from his mother expressing her gratitude for pointing her son in the right direction and helping him realize that his symptoms were a call for help that no one had previously heard. He was described as being in a potentially life-threatening, very dark place. Unfortunately, was able to receive the intense care that he needed. This patient was highly motivated to do whatever it took to heal emotionally, and he was grateful to those professionals who cared for him and were there for him every step he took. With his caring professionals by his side for many, many months, he showed steady improvement. He was an excellent patient with a positive outlook. He felt he had a disease that was treatable, and if he did the work, he would indeed prevail in his battle. He could visualize a path that would lead to his own recovery. This has been referred to as true hope, the hope that tempers fear, and allows us to think and choose without panic. That may have been a key in his treatment success. We know that a number of his fellow clients were not as fortunate and are no longer with us today. He was so inspired by his own recovery that he made it his mission to do whatever he could to help others, to have access to care that he received, whatever the resources. Since his recovery, he's also fought to destigmatize mental illness. He has indeed stood courageously straight and tall and told people, I had mental illness. I had it bad. I'm better now, and I'm going to help others with that problem. Eventually, he decided to create a place where those who find themselves mentally unwell can walk in the door and say, please help me. And no matter what their financial means, they would get the resources they need. They will be cared for. They would be welcomed. Thus, the Briskin Wilder Welcome Center at the Maple was born. The Welcome Center exists today because the mother and son in the story are actually this year's Maple Counseling Humanitarian Award recipients, Judy Briskin and Rex Wilder. May I?
Yeah.
I would also give my personal thanks to this man and his mom.
We're supposed to pose?
Oh, okay. I always pose whenever I see a camera. I pose. I'm sorry. It's automatic. We physicians find physician. I don't interrupt. I'd just like to say we physicians find tremendous meaning and fulfillment when we can see a positive effect we have on someone's health and well-being, and they have honored me by asking me to introduce them today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, Chris and John, you are so honored and you do such wonderful things. Thank you again. Just terrific. Thank you. Rex?
Aren't you going to thank everyone else?
Well, want to thank all of you for coming today. Friends, family, all you wonderful counselors, everyone that's helping us achieve a very important goal. Thank you so much.
You're fine. Welcome. When you turn that word around, it says, come and be well. It's an invitation. So welcome. Thank you for coming. When Maple asked me to join the board, I took the opportunity and ran with it, committed to realizing a vision I've had since my own recovery that Dr. Sher talked about. I made myself a nuisance, as I'm very good at, probably as I fought for a new sense, a new way of looking at a mental health treatment center. Together, we rolled up our sleeves and joined all of you who have come here today to celebrate the new Maple. Together, we have created a model where no human being would be left behind, ever, to forage for herself or himself in a fog of mental distress. When I was ill, I was illumined by the light of friendship, guided by friends and family, and funded by the luck of the draw. The unfairness fed me gratitude, and this gratefulness led me to envision a revision to the best mental health center in the city, one that so many of you built with such skill and expertise and compassion. And we're going to read responsibly. Is that cool? Mom and son get to do this? I love it.
The Maple was already a tree of hope with strong roots, Beverly Hills and beyond. Their expertise was in talk therapy, but already they talked of other kinds of therapy, state-of-the-art therapy, and we're beginning to employ them in earnest. The Welcome Center is just the first step, the first face a person sees, the first hand that takes yours and makes you feel like you're in the company of a good and caring human being, someone who's going to help you. Everyone has a story. Sometimes they hide it inside, but the Maple Counseling Center is making it easier to step out in the light and embrace it. They have a bright new building with lots of light and open doors. At the front, the Welcome Center at the Maple does what it sounds like. It welcomes you. If you think you need help, you're welcome. If you don't know where to go, you're welcome. If you're frustrated with looking for mental health care, you're welcome. If you're confused about insurance or your ability to pay, you're welcome. That's the spirit of the Welcome Center that you support and has made possible.
Your generosity has made possible the first generation of Welcome Center Fellows. I think they're all here today, as well as other outstanding Maple people. The Fellows embody a new concept. They are specifically trained for and dedicated to finding a place for you to go and people for you to see. If we can help you at Maple, great. If we think there's another place that's more appropriate, we don't point you there. We take your hand and make sure you're in good hands somewhere. They are stewards of hope, and we're very proud of them.
This vision has become a reality thanks to your confidence in the work we do and the importance of good mental health. It has also made possible a new spirit of cooperation in the community. Work together, welcome together. Thank you again for this honor. And you're welcome.
Thank you.
See, Rex said to me before this, he's like, I don't know about my speech, but unlike the Dodgers, he knocked that one out of the park. So can we give a round of applause for Judy and Rex, please? So we've seen the video. You've heard from several of Maple Counseling's clients, and we're getting a better understanding of the impact that Maple Counseling makes. But of course, leadership starts at the top. With that said, please welcome the Executive Director of Maple Counseling, Verena Leal. Hi, you.
Good evening, everyone. It's so heartwarming to see you all here. I just want to start out because a lot of effort and care and heart and time has been put into being able to honor these amazing individuals. I want to say I've been leading nonprofits for over a decade, and so I'm familiar with the format. But this one is probably the most touching for me because the work we do at Maple is so important right now with a mental health crisis nationwide. And the solution that the Briskin Wilder Welcome Center provides, and my personal experience of being in the trenches and building new building and dealing with COVID and a myriad of things that are confronting all of us and living our lives right now, to have the partners that I have that we're honoring right now makes it very special to be really taking a moment to thank the people who need it most. So I want to thank our honorees. And I want to take a moment and thank my board chair, Myra. I couldn't ask for a better partner. And that extends to all of my board members. I started in January 2021, so I've been here long enough to know how lucky I am. And it's truly led by some amazing people who care a lot. And then, of course, I stand here on the stage, but I really represent a whole team of incredible people, and many of you are here. Dr. Marnie Callahan, my cohort, who is the clinical director, and we have Kathleen Kim, who's the director of the Briskin Wilder Welcome Center, and many, many others. And I have to do a special nod to Marianne Patey, who helped me so much in putting this event together, and so many more that I can't name them all. But I do want to recognize how lucky I am with my team at Maple. And we show up every day, and what we try to do is just make lives better. And we'll do whatever we have to do that. And we can't do it without all of you. So, of course, thank you to each one of you for helping us keep all of these services alive in the community. Okay, so this is pretty special. I started and I was like, wow, I have a 50th anniversary right when I just started. There's so much to celebrate, and to do it with all of you. I thought, you probably don't want to hear from me about the kind of impact, and we lucked into, I very early on in my tenure got a message from a donor, wrote a personal card and said, I have been waiting for the moment where I could give back to Maple Counseling, and I'm just so proud and happy that that time has come. So of course, I'm a fundraiser, so I picked up the phone, I called her right away, and I said, tell me your story. And she's just the loveliest human, and also, she's got a beautiful story. And so instead of me going on and on about what we do, I thought that I would bring to the stage a comedian who's been featured on Hulu and Netflix. She's mother of 2 amazing kids and a cat named Prince. And with that, please come to the stage, Lana Turner. She is an alumni of the Maple Counseling.
Okay. Wow, look at this. You guys are wonderful. I am, I guess, an alumni. I wandered into the Maple Center, like 7 years ago. My life had fallen apart. Yay. And I had 2 kids, and my husband was highly addicted to substances, and we needed help, and I couldn't afford it. He'd emptied my bank accounts. He was going through a really bad time, and his time got worse. He didn't make it. He passed away, and my kids were not doing well. But we've made it through. Like, when I walked through those doors, I said, if I can ever one day give back, I can't wait for that day, and that's when I reached out. I was able to donate. And thank you. It felt good. My story, though, you guys talking, Dr. Scher, my son had stomach problems, and we didn't know they were psychosomatic. I didn't know, but we went to a doctor, and my son said he had to get an endoscopy, colonoscopy, but his one concern was that they did not use the same camera. And if they did, that they did the endoscopy first, so. I'm glad to get a little laughter. Like, I'm a comic, this is a weird sort of show for me. And I just keep thinking tea and tequila, like something about this event really makes me hate my mother. So, no one else? Do we need to unpack this? I mean, all right. Anyways. No, it's been a real honor. Like, the Maple Center is a lifeline for people who need help, and I didn't even know how badly I needed help, and came out of there so much healthier and so much happier and able to sustain through the darkest times. So, I mean, thank you guys so much for what you do. And I have to continue to say also, like, that building, it sucked, I'll be honest. Like, going down that elevator, I imagine a lot of you haven't been in there. I don't know. But it was like, I had to tell my kids that, like, what is maple? Like, it's maple syrup. It belongs on pancakes, and they've got toys. And my kids would run in there having no idea that they were going into the bowels of this old building, right? But now there's this beautiful new building that you guys are opening here in Beverly Hills, which, amazing. 50 years, right? Yeah? And you have to admit, it's pretty perfect that at 50 years, the Beverly, like, it gets like everything else in Beverly Hills, it gets a makeover, right, at 50? Is anyone else concerned that the center's gonna have a permanent smile? Just either that or hair plugs in a sports car, I don't know. I'm just gonna, oh, is that too much? All right, oh. Anyways, I want to personally thank you guys, because I guess I stand here as an example of somebody whose lives, like, you permanently affected, all for the better. And I'm going to continue to give to the Maple Center because I'm in a place where I can do that, and it's an honor. So thank you guys. Thank you all so very much. So.
Just told her we'll unpack later. I've got too many issues to take your time. It's getting a little chilly, I know. We're wrapping things up. We've got dessert, we've got coffee, we have more tequila, we've got tea. But before that, as we head towards the end of our speakers, I think one thing that you all have made clear, that the need is global. And so with that said, I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker today. She is bold, she is brave, she is courageous. She is a young woman who has made it her mission to be an advocate for accessible and affordable mental health care. And not just that, she is also striving to normalize the conversation around mental health. So, as the sun goes down, please help me give a warm welcome to the 2021 Miss Universe Japan, Juri Watanabe.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Apologies in advance if my voice is shaking because it's quite cold right now. I'm already used to the Los Angeles weather coming back to LA. Anyways, thank you very much, Maple Counseling, for having me here today as a keynote speaker for your momentous 50th anniversary. It is such an honor to be amongst incredible members of the Los Angeles community who are making a difference in the mental health space every day. Today, I would like to share my journey with mental health and how I got to this point of being more confident and seeing more light than darkness. If you asked me, even just 6 years ago, whether I would be comfortably speaking in front of a crowd, or let alone see a situation glass half full, the answer would be a big no. I'm certainly saying that I'm certainly not saying that being 100% okay. I am 100% okay all the time, and I came to accept that it's okay to not be okay, but I'm definitely the best version of myself today and happier than ever. Being born between Japanese and Korean parents, I didn't look like a person from either national. I know they're both Asian countries, but they're very close to each other. And trust me, they're very different. So when I was living in Japan, I was never accepted or treated as Japanese. When I was visiting Korea, I was never treated as Korean. And as a third culture, and I guess fourth culture kid living in China and the US, I was never quite seen as Chinese or American enough, even though I felt those cultures were so much a part of me. As much as I was being treated like the other, I too felt like the other too because I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. This led to an unfortunately unhealthy and desperate habit to try to be fitting in everywhere I went. I tried to be perfect by changing myself to fit the image of what I thought the community wanted me to be. And I wasn't perfect. When I wasn't perfect or feeling accepted, I blamed it on myself and would tell myself that I wasn't good enough and that I was lacking. Everyone to a degree changes themselves to fit the environment because I think that's just human survival instincts. But for a kid in her developmental age, a developmental stage, the constant need to change impacted my confidence and therefore my mental well-being. I would be all smiles and laughter at school and around my family, but I still remember at one point in my life, I would cry myself to bed because I felt so empty on the inside. No matter how much love I was getting, I couldn't receive the love because I didn't love myself. I would get anxiety attacks when I couldn't perform the best that I can and I didn't feel a control in the situation. But the worst part of it was that I felt that I didn't have anyone to talk to. This was largely due to two things. One was that I didn't feel like anyone had similar backgrounds that would understand my situation. My parents each grew up in a single culture, and so did most of my friends. And when I tried to look to the media, much of the information was coming from a limited perspective. Another, perhaps maybe more relevant part of today's event is that in Asian culture, much like other minorities and even the United States, talking about mental health is heavily stigmatized. Our society ingrains in our brain that sadness and loneliness is a sign of weakness. Therefore, adults and children alike, and sometimes in extreme cases, we're discouraged to talk about feelings, our mental health. So it wasn't just me, but also my parents and their parents and their parents that were feeling like they couldn't talk to anyone about how they felt. As you may be aware, this does have devastating effects, especially in Japan. While significantly improved from the early 2000s, Japan's suicide rate recorded as of 2020 was 16.8%. That's out of 100,000 people. 16.8% of people are victim to suicide. By sophomore year of college, my mental health was getting so poor to the extent that it was becoming evident on the outside. My parents didn't know why I began to neglect myself, but it prompted my mom to suggest me to participate in my first beauty pageant, just so I can have a little bit of motivation to start taking care of myself on the outside. This was where my self-care journey began. Learning how to wear makeup, doing my hair, and getting glammed up did start making me feel a little bit better about myself, but it wasn't enough to truly feel beautiful. It was then when I decided to go against every bit of instinct to sign up for my first counseling session at my college. Here I would like to emphasize that the counseling sessions were covered under my school's insurance, which was extremely vital to me. While it was daunting at first, I slowly began to see a change in myself. I went from saying, I think I look beautiful, to I am beautiful. I gained the tools I needed to get out of the situation where I felt like I couldn't breathe. I began to gain confidence and reached heights that I never thought I would have. Taking care of my mental health changed my life. And now I'm here today, comfortable enough to share my story. And the more I share my story, the more I realize that many people, including my friends and family, face similar struggles. I know this new possibilities that I was and still reaching would not have been possible without affordable and accessible mental health care that I was so lucky to have. This is why your work is so important. It's giving people who need it the most a chance to realize their full potential, thereby not only lifting up the individual, but lifting up the entire society. Thank you all for the work that you do to provide accessible and affordable mental health care that everyone needs. And thank you, especially, for celebrating mental health. To that, I would like to say salute for those of you guys who still have your drinks. Salute to Maple Counseling, and for improving our society, not just for the present, but for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, jury. Everyone thank jury again, please. Really wonderful remarks. Hello.
Hello.
So we're wrapping things up.
Yes, thank you all so much again. And we would be remiss if we didn't take a moment just to point out that we are still fundraising, but I am really excited to announce that we have made in the past few months, due to our honorees, over $1.1 million. Wow. Yeah. And $700,000 of that is specifically earmarked to sustaining the Briskin Wilder Welcome Center. So
We have pledge cards right there on either side of the bar. You'll see them on the table, but they're so cool at Maple Counseling and the registration table. Also, look at the QR codes. Put your phone right there. It'll take 5 seconds. So you'll see them on the little cards.
the little cards anywhere, little QR code. I think we're all familiar with that now, whether we like it or not.
So yeah, so it makes it easy. It makes it fun because you can say, "Wow, that didn't take any time at all." Or if you prefer the old school, the cards are there and so are the pens, and they let me keep mine. So.
So thank you all again. Just know that we have to raise about $2.4 million every year just to keep our doors open. We service about 3,000 people every year. It's about 550 clients that we're seeing at our center. And then we're also every year seeing about 1,700 and growing youth and adolescents in schools from preschool all the way to high school. So we actually go in and provide the individual and the group counseling for adolescents, middle school, and high school. We do social emotional learning programs. In fact, we have our amazing Lunel, who has been running our community circle program for over 40 years. It's volunteer run, so if anybody wants to volunteer, they train you, go into the elementary schools, and you help kids with learning how to talk about this, how to negotiate conflicts, and how to respectfully express what they need and deal with their feelings and name them. And that's very important the earlier you start, as you know. So we have that elementary school program, and we'll go into preschools, and we'll do early screening and intervention. We're pretty much amazing. So help us, because we can't do it without you. And honestly, there's a lot of people out there who need your help.
You really are amazing. I will say that. I think on behalf of all of us here, we're probably all sitting here thinking, I wish blank had known about Maple Counseling. I wish there was someone in your life that you wish knew about Maple Counseling. But now we can spread the word. I just said to Barney, I'm going to do that at NBC. We are going to spread the word. And we need you to open up your heart. So don't forget about the cards. Don't forget about the QR codes. Do not forget about the silent auction that closes at 6:30. Is it still 6:30? 6:30. So you'll want to go over there, but there's dessert and coffee.
We're ready to go.
And churros and hot chocolate, said Marilyn, meaning Myra. It was fun watching her trying to keep her dress down from the backstage. And ladies and gentlemen, honestly, thank you on a personal note, for having me. It's been eye-opening.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Go warm up. Oh.
Thank you again.